Hey guys, Steven here, Fanatic Perspective. Got Tran in the building. It is, somewhat of a game week, if you will, but excited to be in Austin this Saturday for the Texas spring game. A lot of football to talk about and a lot of news going on. So, as I promised last week, wanted to just have it live with you guys. Tran and I are also going to be reacting to some of the comments from the previous defensive video I made. Like I said, there was a lot of really, really good ideas, interaction there. So I want to go through some of that as well. First, want to give a shout out to our sponsor, busr.com/fanatic, the official sports book, the official betting partner of Fanatic Perspective. Hit up busr.com/fanatic. Take advantage of all your sports betting needs. Great customer service. You can get your futures bets in there. Tran's been betting baseball. We've been betting UFC. We bet Spence last weekend with his, victory over Ugas. So just a lot going on. Take advantage of busr.com/fanatic. They are the homies. And, supporting the channel. Subscribe. Y'all know what it is when you come in here. We take attendance by hitting that like button. So if you're already subscribed, that should be step one. But step two is hitting that like button, showing us some love, especially as we will all have our little family reunion in Austin. Tran, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great. How you doing, man?
I'm excited to speak with you. So, right off the bat, the big news in town is the addition of Agiye Hall, who transfers from Alabama to Texas. We understand the previous connection with the staff that recruited him there. He never played under Steve Sarkisian or Jeff Banks or Kyle Flood, but was recruited by that group. On3's number one receiver in the 2021 class, and had a whole bunch of stuff. We're going to get into the pros and cons. I touched on it last week when they talked about him taking his visit, and I aired my concerns. But I am excited about the possibilities, Tran. When you add that type of weapon to a room where we have some really good players, but a lot of depth challenges as well, and injury issues, injury history. So before I kind of get in pro con, man, just your take on things with Agiye Hall coming on board to the University of Texas.
I mean, you have to be excited to get a transfer from Alabama that a bunch of Alabama fans during the spring game was saying he's the next coming of Amari or what were they saying? Weren't they saying Julio maybe? But the thing is, he's a 4 to 5 star recruit. Look, depending on what recruiting site you're looking at, you're looking at it from, I'm not necessarily looking at it from a 2022 perspective. I'm looking at it from a 2023 perspective. I think the slot receiver spot is locked down by Jordan Whittington. But guess what? Jordan Whittington has not finished one season. So to have that depth at a receiver to keep a lineup of probably our best wide receiver lineup, I think, since Roy Williams and Sloan Thomas and all them, So it's I like it. I like the. I know there's going to be some baggage that comes with it. Is he going to last till 2 years if he doesn't get if he doesn't get to play this year? Is he going to go somewhere else? There's some questions left to be said. I want to see him out there. He hasn't practiced with this team, so a lot of reps from from the wide receiver position determines on the cohesion that they create with the quarterbacks, and he hasn't been on the field with them, catching passes from them. Can the connection be made? Of course, but it's usually done over the off season, and he's not even here yet. So
Yeah, I mean, in terms of the cohesion, this summer is going to be huge, and we've been talking about that. Quinn Ewers and all these guys having those sessions. I think one of the reasons why Quinn was off to a pretty decent start was some of the throwing sessions he had with Jatavian Sanders, some of the throwing sessions he had with Xavier Worthy. So getting Hall into there, getting Nayer into there, and Whittington, the whole group, right? Having that continuity there. That way, Hall when he starts for fall practice, he's up to speed, right? He's up to snuff with how everything's going. Now, I believe from a if we look at, because I've heard a lot of people say who's the odd man out and, questioning about what happens to, talking about Jordan Whittington, talking about Nayer. I want to clarify a few things. Jordan Whittington is a slot receiver. I saw somebody mention that earlier, and that's a very very different position, especially in this offense, from what the outside receivers are
Mhm.
being asked, right? Especially the guys that play X, like Xavier Worthy, or on the other side. So Nayer and Hall are guys that are going to be on the outside. I mean, at 6'3", the way that they can run and stride. I'm not taking anything away in terms of them ability to slide inside. Marcus Washington played inside too, but just the versatility. I mean, if you look back at I think a lot of people have said what good looks like under Steve Sarkisian in that Alabama room where you had, Judy and Ruggs and Devontae Smith and Jalen Waddle and all these guys. Um, I think buy-in is key because those guys, when all of them were there, they played well. They had good numbers. When I say played well, I mean none of them were until Jalen Waddle got hurt that last year, and it was just really Devontae and then Mechie. That was really the only time where you saw somebody force fed the ball as a one position playing all over the place. In an
Right.
ideal situation, they did spread the wealth amongst those four. Now it wasn't a heavy rotation or anything like that, but we were talking about on Twitter Spaces last night. Ruggs, I think Ruggs went 12th overall or whatever it was in the draft, and he had 700 yards for 9 touchdowns. But it was the threat of him and when he got the touches. So as long as Agiye Hall is comfortable with potentially having that type of role and being the take the top off guy or big play guy, and everybody's comfortable with the targets being spread around, i.e., Ohio State last year, which is why a lot of people are getting frustrated with them not having a Biletnikoff finalist because everybody was eating, right? And so the numbers were spread. I don't think we'll see a situation again, hopefully, where we go into a football game and Xavier Worthy has 20 plus targets because we don't have a choice, right? Tran, the other thing you touched on is the improvement at quarterback, right? And the quarterback play and ability, of Quinn Ewers, this entire group, and their ability to get the football to these guys. Now, the challenges and some of the things you've heard in camp, the inconsistency of some of the younger guys, and their growth. You're getting somebody in there that's going to push the room from a talent perspective. The moment he runs his first route, and all that, I think that's that pushes everybody, right? And so I don't think you'll see a Nayer or anybody like that leave. I don't understand that aspect. You need to rotate that position anyway because they're both running 7, 8, 9 routes. They're going to have to rotate regardless. Xavier Worthy as well. But some of the people that were kind of on the borderline, you could see those guys potentially hit the portal. I mean, it's a numbers game in college football. Tran, the other thing you mentioned is the history behind the room, and I think that's where the high reward is. You mentioned the Roy Williams, BJ Johnson, Sloan Thomas room. Probably 20 years ago. Was
Yeah.
that group?
Yeah, it was 20 years ago,
That
unfortunately.
was probably the last. Yeah. I mean, but collectively, in terms of size, speed, just raw explosive, we're talking about people that can catch a slant and take
Mhm.
it to the house. We're not
Take it to the
like
house. Yep.
I think everybody's thinking about it from a standpoint of like people throwing the ball 50 yards downfield. We're talking about any given time, like we saw with Xavier Worthy, where he catches a bubble screen and takes it 80 yards.
Housed it.
Right?
Yeah.
That we had that type of weaponry back then, and I think this group, potential wise, right, measurable wise, in some people's cases like a Worthy, production wise, match the output of what that group was, right? that is really, really exciting at Texas, and it's sexy. Let's be honest. Like, people, we've been talking so much about all these other positions, and we're starting here with receiver because it's sexy. Those are the flashy positions. That's what the casual fan's eye goes towards, right? And so these are all really, really good things in terms of the high reward aspect. But my gut, I always trust my gut. And I'm going to say this. Everybody knows I was skeptical. I stand by what I said about there's a red flag when you leave Alabama under the circumstances that he left, or was kicked out, wherever you're getting your information. Those are red flags to me. I'm just being honest. And I'm not trying to, hear people call me a hater or anything like that. Let's be honest, okay? It's red flags. The guy picked Texas. He's coming to Texas. Y'all know who I am. Once you put that Texas across your chest, I support you. You're one of my own. And I hope that this is the second chance, the fresh start, the change of scenery that is needed for him to maximize his abilities, for his own self. Because there's some, until I see it play out, those red flags are going to be looming in the back of my mind, especially with how fragile things have been in our program, right? And so I don't think that's something we should ignore or dismiss, Tran.
Nope. You should. I mean, you hit the nail on the head. I mean, it. I want to. You got to give him the benefit of the doubt until he proves us right or wrong, however you want to take it. Like you said, he's a Texas Longhorn now. So
Yep.
hopefully everything, all the issues that he had, he left in Tuscaloosa. He comes here. I mean, you got to think he signed on to play with for Sark's offense to begin with. That was, even though it was a great season for Alabama from an offensive side of the ball, it was very, very frustrating. All the injuries. The
The
offensive line
offensive
play was
line.
probably
Mhm.
the worst they've ever had. Not ever, but I won't say ever, but in the last 15 years or so. And him not getting the ball, to tell you the truth. What did he have? 72 yards all year or something
Yeah,
like that?
and two, what was it, two
And
for
yeah,
54, 58 was in the national championship game after the injuries.
exactly. So, as a wide receiver, they want the ball. And that's something that he's got to get over himself, especially when we're going wide receiver by committee right here, because everyone's going to eat. I would love to see 3 wide receivers at 800 plus yards. I'd love to see that. But if he can't get over himself on that, and it's really hard to get a 4 to 5 star recruit who's been sold the world. One of the best prospects coming out of Florida. It's hard to get them out of their own heads. So that's one of the things that I'll keep an eye on. But honestly, he's on this team right now. I'm hoping nothing but the best for him.
And I want to clarify something else too, because I know what Tran's talking about. Tran's talking about essentially a 4 to 5 man rotation max in terms of everybody's going to eat in that room, right? It's not going to be musical chairs in the Tom Herman day where you
Yeah.
got people that are borderline scholarship players or walk-ons coming in and playing on 3rd and 4. We're not going to see those things. I put this comment up here. I trust coach's judgment. Again, the connection, the relationship that they built in recruiting.
Mm-hmm.
I trust that they did their homework, and that's something my friends that I've talked to behind the scenes. There's a lot of people that just flat out disagree with me about that and say that they don't have concerns that I have. But one of the things I've been consistent about is I trust the coach's judgment. The other thing, William, bringing up Brennan Marion. I know Lando's been big on bringing up Brennan Marion in this case. Maybe this is the right person in this time of his life, this season of his life that he needs to kind of help him ascend because he has pro talent. Let's be honest. I mean, when you can run that way and you're that size and you can attack the football vertically, he has pro talent. I mean, a lot of these guys in the room have pro talent. I think but when somebody says, looking at the full story or whatnot, I've seen things, there's a reason why we have instincts. There's a reason why we have gut feels, right? And I've seen things play out negatively here at Texas with other talented young men, and for different reasons, right? Whether it was Jake Smith or Joshua Moore or Brew McCoy, these guys that we get so excited about. We've actually been doing YouTube long enough to where you can go back to the videos of us being excited about Jake Smith developing, being excited about some of these other guys developing, and the potential that's there.
Brew McCoy being on a flight to Austin.
Right. And he was what, a top 10 player in his class, right?
Yep.
And so I am excited with, I think, the marriage of the coaching and them really kind of putting their credibility on the line. I think they're putting their credibility on the line, saying, hey, he's going to be fine with us and we're going to roll with him. And with uptick in quarterback talent, we should be rocking and rolling. This should be a good marriage, good relationship. But all I say before we move on to some other things is when you go into relationships, we always sometimes we look at, how pretty the young lady is or how handsome the young man is, and we ignore certain things because it's appealing, right? And so just taking everything into account, that's all I'm saying. But like the other comment said earlier, trust Sark in this scenario, and because there will be blowback on him if something were to go astray, right? And again, guys fall apart for different reasons. I'm not saying that it's all going to be the same type of thing. The other positive for this, though, in terms of getting Agiye Hall in here, now that you've gotten Hall and Nair, somebody mentioned Brendan Thompson as well. That is starting to make up for the misses that were blatant in this past recruiting class, right? In terms of filling some of those spots with the talent we thought we should have had with like Evan Stewart and some of these other type of guys, right? And so filling in, those spots and getting guys like this, I think it's going to be, helpful in getting us back on track with our cycles in the receiver room. Just like last year when we got Xavier Worthy out of the transfer portal. So, that was probably the best thing that happened all season for Texas in year one. So
What do you think about the talent at the wide receiver position now? How it helps the defensive backs
in
going
terms of
against
the
them?
day-to-day work?
Yeah, because you're going against top talent over and over again. That once you start playing talent that's not as good as the wide receiver room, ideally they should be able to hold their own, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that should start, like I said, in the summer.
Mm-hmm.
That should carry over into self accountability with guys, right? In terms of, hey, we need y'all to eat. We're playing Bama week 2. We have a tough schedule coming up. Big 12's wide open, as Kieran
But
says.
who's that guy? Who's that guy to say that?
That guy has to emerge.
Yeah.
That guy has to emerge. To your point, maybe it's Jordan Whittington. Again, I'm curious to see, to your point, and I'm kind of reading some of the comments here.
Yeah. No.
No, things happen, guys. No, I'm looking at some of the comments here about some of the guys of the past. I'm just saying we can't ignore certain things. That's all I'm saying. Tracy, this is where I'm at too. I agree. That's where I'm at too. Texas on his chest. That's where I'm at. But I'd be remiss if I just held my tongue and didn't say how I felt. I hope all of that goes away and it's behind us. But I grew up. I remember there was a kid that came out who was so freaking talented. I think he went to Florida State. It was Fred Rouse. I don't know if anybody remembers that name. Back in 2005, he was getting Randy Moss type comps, and just couldn't get out of his own way type of thing. So
I
we
think
all
of
have those
Dorial
guys.
Green Beckham. I think of Dorial Green Beckham.
Well, he still went to the league though.
Yeah, but he couldn't get out of
Every
his own way. Still, even once he went to the league.
yeah. So I'm hoping that's not for him.
Yeah.
Good vibes moving forward for Mr. Hall, and what he's going to bring to the 40 and push in this room, because the talent is immense. Some of y'all are saying some wild stuff in the chat. I love it. We got 154 in here. Make sure you hit that like button. Show us some love, and let's jump into it.
Oh,
Tran,
a
any
BA.
other?
Hold up. A BA sighting.
What's up, BA? Uh, yep. No, Randy, I did. I thought I said Florida State.
You did.
Tracy,
You did.
Tracy, not listening. I said Florida State. Fred Rouse was that dude back when I was in high school. No, Randy, I definitely watched the game, and no, he was phenomenal.
Well, it's also the spring game too.
Right,
I
right.
mean,
No, hey,
uh,
we're gonna be people. You guys should people should be excited. If you're not concerned about some of the other stuff, you should be excited. Somebody said the update on Jalen Gilbo. I think Gilbo's going to come back and be okay. It sounds like whatever happened wasn't like you're kicked off the team or going to lose your scholarship, but he's going to be on ice for a little bit and have to work his way back. Yeah, we definitely have to. We had to catch up, and that's one of the things that the staff is looking for. And honestly, with Brendan Marion being here, something this 2023 class, he said, "Give me a second chance."
that's what I laughed at.
You see, that's does the I hope Tracy. I hope you don't say that during the games when you out here calling people for false start or illegal motion. You ain't supposed to. I love you, brother. No, absolutely. We should be excited. I mean, we've had groups trot out there where you watch them, right? And it's like, damn, we don't have anybody that can run. We have guys that are laboring downfield. And then we had a good group with Devin and Colin and Brennan and those guys, but they all got beefed up.
We've always had one guy, but we've never had a committee. Like, even I remember we were really high on Devin Duvernay the year before he broke out, and I remember the TCU game, he took a little swing pass that we were talking about, and he went 80 yards for a touchdown. We're like, that's what we're seeing, but he just couldn't break free, and we didn't have the quarterback play to get him the ball, and he was always getting double teamed. So it's great to that's the thing about it is like, okay, pick your poison now. Okay, Xavier Worthy's going downfield, so you got corner and safety coverage on it. Oh, look at that! Jordan Whittington's going to eat over the middle, or Nayer's going to eat over the middle. That's the thing that I'm excited about, just seeing that.
Joshua, hey, we can't be looking at other people's spouses, right? I hear y'all. And Jalen looked good physically. I know, that Bama spring game. Now that defense, they picked him off too, and made him look, confused at times. But his speed and all of that, and his physicality, Jalen looks like he's been
Oh,
in the weight
Milrow,
room.
yeah,
Milrow, yeah,
yeah.
he looks um, he looks out. His body looks outstanding from what I saw in the spring game. Bill, what's good, man? You're actually taking me to the next point I wanted to bring up as we transition over to the defensive comments regarding Mathis, who we know is going to be visiting. I think he's in Austin right now. He's from Austin. We got to get that's the biggest one for me. That's the biggest
100%.
one for me.
100%. I think that will just put the last feather in the cap of the of this recruiting class. We don't really have a an edge rusher right now that can make a difference.
That's established.
Yes,
We can
and
say, you know.
he's an All Big 12 player. So bringing him over from TCU to play in a league that he's very familiar with, in a defense that he's familiar with, it's something that we need to be. I think it's what us in Nebraska. Those are the two schools right now.
Yeah.
So we need our bagmen need to step it up because I hear that Nebraska's bringing out big time money for players right now.
He helps everybody on
Uh
the
huh.
whole defense, right? From the secondary, from the attention that he'll get on the defensive line. I think interior guys will look a little bit better when I mean, look at the impact. And I'm not going to compare him to Joseph Osai. Joseph Osai was an All-American his last year when he really just clicked. But but in terms of the level of impact, when you have an all-conference edge, and those of you who have followed our channel, you know how much Tran and I value good edge play,
Yep.
right? It's so critical to wins and losses, quite frankly, right? And controlling the line of scrimmage and controlling critical downs, third downs, all of that. And so, am I saying that he's going to come here and be a 12 sack guy? That would be awesome. But in terms of just the overall impact, because the defensive video I made, and I stand by a lot of the things I said in that, and these were some of the metrics that I had shared in that video. When you look at, 99th in the country, 96th in the country, 100th in the country, 114th in the country, like these crazy bad metrics
Mm-hmm.
that we had across the board, and the advanced analytics aren't better, right? Like they're not better in terms of if you even want to go deeper into some of this stuff. So where can we find improvement, and where can we really start to metal out, especially where, okay, we go from 99th to 45 or 50, somewhere where we're above average, right? And because we think we're going to have an uptick offensively, we really believe that. So if we have an uptick offensively, we feel like this team is mentally sharper and tougher. Theoretically, there should be some turnaround in a very, very positive direction. So these are things we need to see, from our Texas group, and he helps us across the board. I'm big on snap counts, Tran. I thought our guys went to another level of bad after Jacoby Jones got hurt last year, and we were
Yeah.
asking other guys to play more and more snaps. I think some of the young guys, if you're asking some of the young guys to play 15, 20, 25 snaps in conjunction with a Mathis, guys like a Justice Finkley, some of these other guys that are coming along. Somebody mentioned Prince Dorba. They're going to look better. It enhances everybody else, right? Because I'm now not asking you to be really, really good after 60, 70 snaps, right? Where you see, at the highest level, like an Aaron Donald late in the game in the Super Bowl is able to get a pass rush after playing the whole game. We can't expect that from these kids. That's the highest level, right? So, but from a snap standpoint, if we're improving our technique and everybody with continuity fundamentally understands this defense better, then having multiple people that can take on the snaps and some of the baggage, I think that'll help us at the end of games to where people aren't running the ball down our throat, because
I,
that's got to stop, Tran.
I'm more so excited about helping our internal defensive line. So our D tackles. You saw what Coburn could do when he had an edge pass rusher in Osai. I think we were top in the nations on yards per carry or against, and we still had the same defensive front last year, and we basically shit the bed, honestly. So if we have someone who could do that and can help bring up those Justin Finkley, I saw someone Dorba, and I think someone was saying that we didn't have a pass rusher on on the roster currently, which I still stand by that. I mean, we don't have an established pass rusher. Rusher is that what we were saying, and one with the experience. But him helping out all the defensive line, that's it. The defensive line can win games for you. It can win. It can win a lot of games for you, and I really that's the biggest position of need and the position that we need to see increase over this offseason. Getting
Yeah,
that guy will help.
for sure. Forrest, love you, man. I got your comment on here. Um, I'm not saying he's an elite player, but I don't see the bad year that he had. I don't see that. You know, he dealt with a lot more attention, and I think and then the 2020 year, I think the COVID year, he had some stuff going on. But from everything I've seen from Mathis, he was actually one of my All Big 12 picks last year before any of this went down, before any of the Gary Patterson stuff. So disagree on the evaluation of the player, but that's why we're having this conversation. Not every we don't have to subscribe to groupthink. This isn't a Oklahoma Spaces where if you disagree with something, you get kicked out. We're going to keep this open. If you have takes that are different from other people, you know,
And
um,
if we're judging them off of this one bad year, TCU was not a good team last year. So you throw a stud on a crappy team, he's still going to be a stud, but teams scheme against their best players if they know that. So I mean, you can't really judge him off of one bad year. If he's around other players who can play, he's going to get a lot of one on ones and he's going to get a lot of pressure. He knows how to rush the passer. We saw that 2 years ago.
yeah, Homer put this up here. I mean, that's the type of player. That's what he's already produced in this conference, right? And so pairing him with our group, his coach is still in the building, right? I mean, this is a marriage that really makes sense, and it fills a huge need, and it takes a lot of pressure off of my younger guys to where I have more time to develop them instead of asking them to do things that they may not be ready to fully do yet. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying that somebody's not going to emerge and be that guy. Hopefully, there's somebody that comes on and becomes a Coleman on the other side to where, oh wow, so and so is eating because somebody else is getting all this attention. Hopefully that's the case. But um, you know, in regards to just the overall, group and what this means for our football team and how it impacts the defense, I think it's significant. I'm going to share my screen because I want to get to some of the comments from the previous video. You guys left some good comments. Now, this was about a week ago, and where we had the discussion. So while I'm doing that, Tran, going into the spring game, anything on top of mind that you're going to be paying attention to, or just what's your overall thought process when you go into these type of events?
No, I'm honestly, it's a scripted practice. Honestly, anyway, it's for the fans. So we're gonna see the quarterback throw the ball. I want to see what kind of zip they have on the ball, what kind of accuracy they have on the ball. I haven't seen us like throw back shoulders or anything like that. And we actually have the arm talent in both Hudson Card and Quinn Ewers, but that could actually throw back shoulders and timing routes. So I would like to see some of that in there. But at the same time, I'd like to see the defensive backs. How are they going to play the ball? That's one thing that we haven't seen in years. Defensive backs playing the ball. So I want to see if that's. I know they've been working on that on all the videos that the Texas page puts out and everything like that. But I mean, even the defensive line, it could be false gold. I mean, they dominated the spring game last year. So I'm not really going to take too much into that. I just want to see some. I want to see some good football. I want to see sharp plays and focus that should be already to this point.
So I'm glad you touched on defense because I don't get a chance to do this too often. It's probably the first time we've done this on this channel, where we kind of go into the comments here, and hopefully everybody can see it well. But there's just a lot of interesting discussion here, from what people's expectations were. And so the question that I posed was, what are your realistic expectations heading into the 2022 season from this defense, especially based upon what we saw? Now, one thing I did not touch on in any significant manner in that video was turnovers and turnover ratio and things of that sort. Before I get to the first comment I want to address here, one of the things that to me is a byproduct of that is if you're stopping the run consistently and you're making people throw on your terms and you're forcing third and longs and you're creating opportunities. As Bill Parcells used to say, if you when you pass, there's three things that can happen and two of them are bad, right? And so that's where we can get our opportunities to create turnovers. When people are able to run the ball at will and comfortably, if we're not forcing fumbles, then what do we have, right? And so the turnover aspect, and I want to see what people's thoughts are there. But in terms of just improvement, there was some skepticism here. Richard Walker, shout out to Richard Walker, said, bro, I don't have any expectations for this defense, but you can't really tell in spring ball and practice. So to trans about it being scripted and certain things like that, zero-sum game. Sure, you can see changes in strength and speed, but improvement is tricky when going against players on your team. Kind of zeros each other out. For instance, if QBs are dicing up the DBs, what does that mean? The receivers are good. Does that mean the receivers are better than the DBs we have on campus? Last year at the spring ball, we heard how good the defensive front was. And so he went into complementary football as well. But Richard's mindset is interesting because that's how still a large function of the fan base feels. I think a lot of people, to the amazing video that Kieran made of, kind of drinking the Kool-Aid versus not wanting to drink the Kool-Aid. Clearly, Richard here, who comments on almost every video I make from Texas, is, Richard is from a standpoint of very skeptical, very, very skeptical. So I think that we are having a very interesting discourse here.
I mean, it is a warranted skepticism, honestly. We laid an egg last year from the defensive side of the ball, but it's a new season. It's a new season, another year under the coaching staff with bringing on a defensive-minded former head coach who knows this league as well. I mean, the thing you want to do is you want to see progression. Like you put up the stat where I think the highest we were up was 72nd in the nation on there. You have to have an uptick. Like if we were at 99, like you said, we need to be the 60s or the 50s range. If we see that progress, that's where you can see, oh, okay, well this team's making a turnaround and they're starting to buy into the system and starting to understand the schemes that they want to run. So I mean, I get the skepticism, but it's a brand new year. I'm not saying drink the Kool-Aid or anything like that, but you have to let the games play out. And you have to see with your own eyes.
So Caleb's comment here said, appreciate the honesty and everything. But Caleb seems to be a little bit more optimistic, right? In terms of, hey, there's just certain things I want to see. Can we slow down some of the big runs? Can we keep our linebackers cleaner? Can we allow our corners and safeties to play up a little bit more with a little bit more swagger, taking better angles? I think so to this comment here, I think that's why we're seeing Keaton Crawford. We're seeing Anthony Cook at safety. We're seeing Jahdae Barron at nickel. And they're talking about Jahdae Barron just playing corner outright, right? Even in base coverage, because he's dudes behind the scenes. And And we saw it a little bit last year, just didn't get to see, he didn't have enough snaps.
Right.
So, you know, having a bunch of people that can match up and play man coverage confidently, speed, angles, and communication. Last year's group, that was a struggle across the board. And it got to the point where the coaches lost confidence. You could tell Terry Joseph and Blake Gideon and those guys on the back end got to a point where it was just like, hey, we're just going to kind of play, base too high and don't do anything, just don't get beat deep type thing, right? And so it's just really, really interesting. It's just really, really, really interesting. And so, Caleb, I appreciate that aspect of it. Just kind of getting an idea of how people are feeling. Rob, that's why I'm reading the comments. I know we're here. I'm going to get to y'all's comments,
Hey,
but
so Danny Juarez said that Trey putting the new year, new me approach on the defense. I actually have seen it in action with my little 5 and 6 year olds. Man, we went to the championship game in the fall league. I made my son, no joke, watch tape on his errors on what he was doing, and I would point him out, and he now could point out exactly what he's doing wrong. And the winter league, we went undefeated, we won the championship, and right now we're on a 16 game win streak. So I mean, like I've seen it at the lower level. These young men are way more intuitive than a 5 and 6 year old. So if they're actually putting in the work and the film study and understand, it will click at one point. You just have to have those mental reps and also the physical reps. That's what I'm saying. It's you have to take it year by year.
So to Nate takes his point, coaching continuity.
Mm-hmm.
Something else we've been, kind of a recurring theme back here. And I see Nate takes your comments. So I'm showing some of y'all some love for the comments you guys have, man. Yeah, we need Tran on the staff, but Tran they can't pay his they can't afford him. Tran, you're on mute.
I said that's bull crap. I know Texas can afford me. I'd get fired
so
fast.
Bones brought up another point here that we're going to talk about. Alfred Collins, we've been high on Jatavian Sanders. We talked about our five most important guys coming into the spring. People were excited to check practice reports about. I've been thrilled with the progress I've been hearing from Jatavian Sanders behind the scenes. They said he had an argument to be an MVP in the last scrimmage. That's the stuff I want to hear. I've been pleased with what I've heard about Alfred Collins. Nothing crazy, but I am hearing consistency. I am hearing that he's pretty much playing, more. The positions that he's being put in is more comfortable for him and what he's good at. But to Bones's point, we want big Alfred to produce up to his capabilities and his talent level. Now, the other thing here is Bones brought up complimentary football. So this is a valid point. And many of us that went to these games, that we saw the offense go 3 and out with a quickness at times. And all of a sudden the defense is playing 80 snaps, 90 snap, whatever the snap count is. And it's not necessarily their fault, right? Like they're literally running out of gas. We all know defenses only have so many snaps in them before they just fully break. And with the offensive line struggles we had when people really focused on stopping Bijan, and we had our quarterback inconsistencies, that was tough. So the offense can help this defense tremendously. I love the fact that we were jumping people and getting margin and early in the season before we had all the mental stuff going on and the locker room stuff going on. But when people make their adjustments, sometimes it's not even the fact that you didn't score or punt, but it's just that you didn't go 3 and out. It wasn't a 30-second series. And we know, Sark and them, they can get into running tempo at times and whatnot, mixing it up, but just a little bit more consistency there. And then hitting on the plays that we do have when we do dial up touchdowns and whatnot, and hitting on those in execution to sustain drives, you can protect your defense. We've all heard that before. So, definitely want Alfred Collins the best from him, but the offense can help as well. And that's something that I think is, a good point in terms of helping the metrics of the defense. And you guys feel free to comment here in terms of, what you think is realistic in terms of improvement to where you'll say, hey, I'm pleased with Pete Kwiatkowski. I'm pleased with what this defense did this year. We don't have right now, and I may come back to this. I'll stop sharing for right now because I want to talk to you guys. We may, we may be in a situation where we don't have Mathis not here. There's nobody I can point to where I'm like, that guy's going to make all Big 12 first team defense, right? So, but what is realistic for improvement? What is realistic for improvement? What says, hey, I'm looking at this year 2 of PK, whether it's turnovers, whether it's the metrics improvement, whether it's the ability to stop the run, where I'm like, we have the right staff, where I feel confident in the staff moving forward and all those things. So I would love to
So I lied a little bit. I guess from the spring game, from the defensive side of the ball, I want to see physicality. I want to see a tough defense where they're not going to back down just because they're playing against their friends. I want to see them put someone on their ass. I do. I want to see just the defensive line. If the offensive line is not good still, I want to see them dominate them. I don't want to see them get a yard. I don't want to see Bijan bust one or anything like that. I want to see if that's the way the defense is. It's not the defense's fault that they're playing against the offensive line. If they're playing against that offensive line, they need to dominate. So I guess I lied about that.
Nah, man, that you changed your mind.
Yeah.
You didn't lie. Yeah, you changed. That's why we have open forums to talk about stuff. Upon talking about it more, kind of feel differently now.
Yeah, that's true.
This is healthy. So, because y'all got me to change my opinion a whole bunch of times. Just people in the chat, right, or on Spaces. So, we're all talking through this. We're all passionate. We all want the same thing. And I thought, Eric from Inside Texas was on the Spaces that we did with 40 Acre Landlord on Monday. It was a great Spaces, but Eric brought up, kind of building to get to the point where you really can have true expectations for the team. This is a period of time to build. And I agree with that. That's, there's so many young guys. Now there's guys that are older individuals, whether it's DeMarvion Overshown, whether it's, Coburn or Jameson, guys that have to play their best football now, or, good luck to you moving forward. But collectively, growth. This is the first, these edges that, people talk about the system that PK runs. To do what he wants to do, he needed to get a certain body type, a certain demeanor in here. So that takes time, right? And getting them to where they need to get to. So those bodies are coming. I will say, before we all got, all excited about the offensive line recruiting, Bo Davis and them were holding it down on the defensive line, right? When it seemed like every week we were getting somebody from the South. So that stuff doesn't go away. Those are the things that aren't as sexy as signing a 6'3", 4'4" receiver that can go get it. That's not as, I get it's not as sexy to talk about, but it's just as important in my opinion, because those people that you got, those Jere Bledsoes, those Jamon Taps, those Justice Finkleys, those guys are mean. They're not going to be, hold the pad and, I'm happy to wear a Texas uniform. There's a certain demeanor that they're recruiting that is going to change things, and it's probably going to make some dudes uncomfortable in the locker room early on. I don't give a shit.
Mm-hmm.
I need mean people on defense. Back in the day, like the Roy Miller days and some of those killers we used to have in the mid 2000s, those weren't nice guys. The Frank Oakums, y'all know who I'm talking about. And I'm not even talking about everybody that went to the league.
I remember watching
Even
video.
Aaron Harris.
I remember watching videos of Brian Rakpo, just him interviews. I was like, dude, just sounds scary. So I mean, like, yeah, I'm with you. I want that attitude, and I'm high on Justice Finkley. I'm excited about that young man, and I want to see. I see him as a potential leader of this defense in 2 years.
William, what's good, brother? I'm gonna get to this question in a second because I'm seeing a lot of O-line stuff come in. I just want to finish our thoughts here on defense before, because we do need to talk about the offensive line, and expectations are significant there. We got 218 in here on the late night chat, so I appreciate you guys. I just saw Danny's comment.
What was that? I didn't see
Singletary, we roll winners.
it.
I'll play with 10 men. When you talking about Vernon Davis, he kicked him off the field. Dude, no, we had guys, and again, it wasn't everybody. Everybody didn't go to the league. Some of these guys were just really good college players. Sergio Kendall was a badass.
Oh well, that he was in the league. He was a second round pick, but he had that accident, so we didn't get to see him.
No, winning definitely helps with all these things too. I mean, nothing's going to be perfect by any means, but just getting that mentality in there, that element of toughness, because quite frankly, you won't have success in the SEC if you don't start putting that together right now. And I think that's what they're doing. That's what this staff is doing. That's why this staff, regardless of how you feel about Agiye Hall, we told you guys we feel like it's a very high risk, high reward situation. But to get to where we want to go, you got to take a risk. You got to take a risk, and it is an aspect of depth that we have challenges at. And so if we're getting a talented player in here, hopefully that player plays off. On the defensive side, you got to get meaner and nastier guys. We're not even talking about analysis and technique or scheme or anything like that. It's just it's 3rd and 2. I'm not going to let this person move me off the line. Right? Like, I'm not going to let this person break contain. No. I'm getting him on the ground. We're getting off the field. We're getting a stop. And that collective mentality and playing together as a unit, if we could just see that defensively, the uptick, I think, will be huge. Danny cracked me up. Thank you, Steve. I appreciate that, Steve Sexton. So, Tran, with the young puppies on the O line, we've heard some good things about Cole Hudson, who's the one offensive lineman who is currently there on campus. He's been repping at guard. They have Hayden Connor moving, getting some reps at left tackle. Shout out to Enemy behind, my Enemy Horns, behind Enemy Lines Horns. He has a great YouTube channel, and he did a great Agiye Hall breakdown earlier today. So y'all please go check that video out. But he was the first one I heard talk about, hey, maybe trying Hayden Connor at left tackle, which is what the staff is doing now. That does give me, again, if we're being honest, that tells me that something's going on with Carrick. That tells me that the Jalen Garth thing and some of these other guys that they were originally trotting out there, if they're moving somebody that they had as a starter over to left tackle, just reading the tea leaves, right? I'm not there at practice. I don't have the practice film, nothing. I'm just looking at what I'm hearing. If I'm already hearing all this shifting, that's not good, in my opinion.
No,
that's not good.
No, it's not good at all. But I mean, right now, I would like them to do plug and play right now and see what
Sure.
lineups work right now. I don't want to see this 3 games down the line and we're just dealing with the same problems that we've been dealing with for the past 10 years. So I mean, you're seeing what you have with what you have on campus right now. I mean, there are some other young guys coming in, but let's have some realistic expectations. There's still high school. I'm still considering them high school, right now. So it's really hard to go from dominating a high school player to dominating a college player. So I would assume that maybe only one would actually get meaningful reps and starting time of the group that's coming in. So our offensive line is on campus right now, unless we're going to go pick something out of the portal just to help out. So
Mhm.
that's something that we've stated that we're going to keep an eye on since the offseason started, is the offensive line.
So for the people talking about Carrick's injury, Carrick, when he was healthy, before they said he had an injury, Hayden Connor was already getting reps at left tackle. That's my point. I
Mm-hmm.
understand the injury, slows things down, and now the player. I think in the last scrimmage, Hayden Connor played most of that. I'm aware of that. I'm saying even before the injury, Hayden Connor was getting reps over there. That's just something to look at. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. The injury, yeah, that can slow you down as well, and is a concern. But let's not pretend like this isn't a significant issue in terms of the position, because now you have a lot of people asking me, and this fan base, like, hey, is Kelvin Banks going to start game one? Is he going to come in here and just take the job outright? Like, what's going on with, and I think that's a lot. I don't care how talented you are, and Kelvin Banks is really, really good prospect, but I'm concerned if you're asking him to just come off the street and play. That's a concern for me.
And
For me.
the thing is, people there's teams that actually can plug and play some freshman offensive linemen, but they've also got an established offensive line too. They have people to help
Yeah,
ramp them
where
up. It's
they're
not
coming in
We
to a
don't
group
have
that's
that.
established.
If
Yeah.
if we're already switching around our left and right tackles, and that's not a formula for success in big time college football.
We'll see what they bring. Shout out to Campbell. I saw he made, I think, all district for basketball. He was out, he's
Mhm.
out there hooping. Great feet. He's somebody that I think a lot of people have got, a lot of people are high on Cam Williams coming out of Duncanville, and a lot of people have been talking about Kelvin Banks. Campbell is somebody who I think is almost weirdly we've things have gotten quiet with him. But I think that's somebody who may shock you in terms of being the first actual true freshman in there that's getting regular snaps. Because he has, that power and athleticism there, and he's going to play probably and start out on the interior. But we'll see. We'll see. I actually asked Eric about Angulau playing center. We know that he's repped there before, to Jordan's comment. Um, but it sounds like it was Sawyer Gore and Welsh that was really starting to come on at center. And then Connor Robertson will be here in the fall, from Westlake to fulfill that depth. I mean, if Junior, we'll see what Junior does, because that's another person that's been here for a long time at this point. And I mean, how does Texas fans feel about Junior? I think most of us say he's a good player, solid player,
Yeah.
right? Can we get a little bit more out of him? I don't know. Is it, or is it that it is what it is, right? And I'm not saying he's bad. I'm not saying he's a liability or anything like that. But um, you know,
He has experience, he has size, and he is kind of a tenacious player. He's a tough player. So I mean,
Tracy's. Hey, I am gonna play. I am gonna play 30 and up basketball starting in June. I am joining a league with my cousin. He talked me into it. I've been working out a little bit, um, on the mean streets of Arlington, but I am gonna play 30 and up basketball. Flag football, we'll see.
all-time quarterback.
Um, yeah. So Rob H brings up a great point about the playbook. Do you know all the calls? Can you communicate and do you understand when that left guard taps you on a stunt or when there's a nickel coming and you gotta, tag inside and hand off outside, right? Like there's certain nuance to the position more than just size, strength, and feet. So this is a good point in terms of play, even run plays, checks, things of that sort. You know, you're one of the primary people protecting the merchandise back there. So this is a good call out in terms of just understanding the playbook. Physicality might be there. The athleticism definitely should be there, but does he know what's going on? Is the game slowed down enough to where you can process and understand the playbook? It's going to be key. What's good, Sam? You made it. You made it. Yeah, I think Junior's a solid player. I think if you had better players around him, you would probably appreciate. It's weird because the offensive line, it's hard to grade them individually.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. It's real unless somebody has a significant mistake or misses a call, and or just gets it's getting bull rushed every single time. It's also a chemistry thing. Um, again, kind of like we were talking about with the secondary of who can communicate back there, what groups play well together. That's going to be the same thing with the offensive line as well. Carlos, we will both be at the spring game. Y'all tap in with who will be there as well. That's going to be a lot of fun.
Six p.m. 6 p.m.
Just trying to catch up on anything I missed that I think is interesting. Mark Ramon, thank you for the super chat.
Hair character lifting some weights, saying keep it up.
I think I missed one earlier. Let me try to get back to get. I want to make sure. I did miss one. Hook'em Horns, thank you for the super chat as well. No, thank you guys for being here. This is fan led content. This is fan led content. We're just passionate fans that like football. We want to talk about it. We want to talk about our team. That's the whole point of the channel.
Tracy, I don't think he's stuck on the upperclassmen playing. I mean, just look from the offensive side of the ball. Xavier Worthy was the number one receiver. Bijan, he tried to get Bijan the ball, and Bijan was a sophomore. I think he just wants to play the best players. He just wants the best players out there that will get them to succeed.
We'll meet enemy lines. I'm gonna try to be there pretty early. I know Trey, you're coming in after the kids' games and stuff, but you'll be there at some point. So we got Twitter, all that. Don't be afraid to DM me or hit up, but I'll also tweet out, just where we're at, wherever we're sitting or hanging out. I'm gonna try. I saw that the UT baseball game against Baylor was sold out, but I try to get over there, try to get a ticket for that, and then head over because I want to be there early to see guys warm up, but just being around some football atmosphere, honestly. Just being in the atmosphere is gonna be dope. Tran, I think you froze. I'm gonna. Oh, hold on, Sam. I'm gonna do a video tomorrow that's a little bit more right on point to what we expect to see in the spring game. Tran hit on some things earlier in terms of physicality on defense. More so intangible stuff. We're not going to see anything sexy or exotic with scheme or anything like that. I mean, the biggest thing I think everybody wants to see is Quinn Ewers throw the football and just how he throws it live. I think that's going to be a lot of people's first time seeing him throw live bullets against a pass rush, against reading coverage and going through his progressions, how he's going to be in 2-minute drill. That's going to be exciting, and just seeing the flashes. I think that's going to be a lot of what people want to see. For me, I want to see Hudson Card's development too. Right? Is he staying on track? He's one play away from being the guy. If assuming Quinn Ewers wins the job and things of that sort. But one play away. So we need the whole room to perform. I'm encouraged by what I've heard. I know Malik, I think he's only, from what I've read, y'all correct me if I'm wrong, been only doing like 7-on-7s because he's still a little ginger with his injury. But I'm encouraged that he's there even competing. That's good. That helps the room. That uplifts other people. Just being around, putting pads on, it's a good thing. So the more that these guys can push each other, you have Hall coming into the room to push those receivers, that's a positive. I want to see X cook. Let's get it. Let's get it. Hey, Queen, do you want to put the details for the next signing? I know it's at Valhalla Lounge on 6th Street. I think it was Jatavian and Jonathan Brooks. What was the date on that one? So we can, people that want to go and meet them in person and get some stuff signed for their NIL. If you can send me the details in the chat. I know there's some people that would want to go and meet Jatavian and Jonathan Brooks and get some gear. Cautiously optimistic. That's another way, that's another, kind of feeling or emotion that some of the Texas fans have right now. Hey, getting more talent. We're getting faster. We didn't fire a whole bunch of coaches again. We got a stud quarterback we think we can develop. Cautiously optimistic. Said shout out to Demo and Keaton Beast, Texas. All those East Texas boys. I love the community you guys have out there. Sam said he's going to be on GP watch. They might have GP up top. Who knows? GP might be moving around politicking. Who knows? But Sam, you let me know if you need to provide some notes on your GP tracker after Saturday. I think anybody can win the Big 12, but I don't think we're the favorites. Hold on. Oh, you're muted, Tran. Still muted. Tran, I can't hear you. No, I think anybody can win the Big 12 this year, honestly. I mean, what team would you say is just an outright favorite, on lock or anything like that? I don't think anybody can say that, but we've been way too inconsistent as a program for me to just say, I think we have tools. I think we can make that same type of bounce that, we saw from Baylor last year, but they're not going to get the benefit of the doubt from me until I see them hold on to leads and win some big games. Tran, you there? Can we hear you now? Yo, yo, yo. Mm-mm. Audio's still cut. I promise you guys I'm not silencing Tran. Okay, so Queen said May 7th, May 7th, 1 to 3, Valhalla Sports Lounge on 6th Street. And they're going to be doing the signing there. Jonathan Brooks, Jatavian Sanders. So we'll be able to go and support those guys if you're there in Austin. That's a really cool opportunity for those young men. One of the things that Queen's been great at doing is just trying to get exposure up. She was helping out with Baron Sorrell, helping getting him in front of the fans and educating people on his background and some of the stuff she's done with Justice Finkley as well. So you're doing a great job helping these young men get exposure, Queenie, and we really appreciate it from the UT fan base. Yeah, spring games on LHN, guys. So I will be, even though I'm going to be there, I'm going to tape it. Free training. I don't know what happened. I don't know. Some of the software stuff can be weird sometimes. Robert said he's drinking the Kool-Aid. He said the last 10 years with no sweetener. Oh, boy. He said the last 10 years with no sweetener. Now, I got to get Karen on here before, even if it's just for a few minutes to talk his trash.
Hey, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Jesus. Free Tran.
We are back. Free Tran.
Gotta pay my internet bill.
My goodness. Normally, I'm the one having problems.
I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. I'm in spring league right now. We're training camp right now.
I hear you. Now we just vibing right now, and this is the point of the night where I say we're gonna go for a few more minutes. And what was it? 234 in here. Hit that like button. Show us some love. If you're not subscribed, subscribe. Tran is free. See?
Yes.
Hit that like button for Tran being free. Somebody said, have I mentioned the tight ends? Don't you know this is the channel of the Jatavian Sanders fan club? We love our tight ends. We love Gunnar Helm. Juan Davis is injured right now, but Jaleel Billingsley, see what he can give us. That's a really, really dynamic group potentially. The other thing too, my man, Jaden Hellaby moving over to running back, and I know that's the running back room is, in my opinion, still the deepest room on the football team. I know the excitement about receiver, but the running backs are still those guys, in my opinion. But having somebody there that can be that H-back, full-back type dude, I just want that in my offense personally. I'm sick and tired. Every year OU gets us with somebody like that, the overweight fullback. I'm not saying, I'm not trying to body shame Jalen Hullaby or anything like that. Hey, big boy. But those people that just run routes and get out there and then all of a sudden they're wide open. And I miss that. I miss the Will Matthews of we used to have people like that at Texas. So I'm happy that, he's at least back in that room, and maybe they can, sprinkle something like that in there. So, yeah, running back's deep, but I'm not talking about him playing running back.
Yeah.
Let's be clear. I'm talking about him playing more fullback, H-back type stuff, certain packages. That's all I'm saying. He's not going to get carries, just no disrespect, but I mean, unless
Look,
there's like a COVID outbreak or something, he's not going to get carries back there.
I mean,
It's too
look
many
at knock on wood. I mean, look at that. Look at that room. I mean, you got Bijan, you got Roshan, you got Jonathan Brooks. I mean, this. Uh, I mean,
jug butts.
yeah,
That's my
yeah.
that's my term. Jug butts. He knew exactly he knows. Sam knows exactly what I'm talking about.
The thick dudes.
Them thick boys,
Yeah.
man. You fall asleep on them boys, man. They get on covers and start rumbling.
The thick guys that run with their wrists not even going past their hips. You know?
Bro, but they know how to run a sharp Texas route, man. Don't get it twisted. Those brothers will run a sharp Texas route on you and break your linebacker off. And next thing you know, somebody's getting cussed out on the sideline. Right? How many years in Texas have we seen somebody from K-State or OU do that with that dude on the team? So
Once a
just
year at least.
they always catch you at the right time too. You're not really paying attention, and next thing you know, somebody brought up Ahmad Hall. That's when we really had you know the true fullbacks back in the day. Yeah, that guy, the guy that the chubby guy that caught one, he got it was a Chili's commercial with his mom on Kansas. The guy was a walk on, caught the game winner against us. Cody Johnson, Henry Melton. You remember those people? Henry Melton, 10 touchdowns. 10 touchdowns during the national championship season, Henry Melton. This guy made millions of dollars playing D tackle in the
Yep,
NFL.
ate himself into a D tackle position.
I miss those people. I want those people on my team. I love those guys. I always want at least one dude like that on my roster. At least one. So now y'all know where I'm coming from. Yeah, Melton. We've always had. Nah, Sugar Bear, I can't go for another hour. I'm tired. And I want to jump on. I do think I want to jump on tomorrow if Karen's around so he can tell y'all some jokes. But and get his. I do want to get his take on what he wants to see because he'll be down there at the spring game too. Karen's actually here now in Texas. Chris Elson said oh man, dude, how's that not fun football to watch? How's that not fun football to watch? Come on. Come on. Yeah, NCAA, I used to run Cody Johnson all day long. Talk to me. Talk to me. Yeah, those were the old days. Yeah, Ricky was at fullback. They had Priest Holmes at tailback. That's when Ricky was wearing 11, I believe. Early in his Texas career. But no, I mean, seeing Quinn Ewers throw live, body language. I think you and I, especially when we go to a game, we're big body language guys. Who's talking to their guys, who's getting people fired up, things like that, and then it translates onto the field. So all those things, I think we're excited to see.
I was excited for football, man. It seems like it's so long ago.
Let me ask the room this because I haven't watched too many other spring games. I did see a good chunk of Alabama spring game for whoever asked me earlier because we got them early. But I guess this is one of my parting questions before we jump. For the chat, anybody spring game that y'all watch where it's like you saw anything interesting or something to take note of, where you have either a hot take or just anything of interest. For example, the Clemson spring game, I think Cade Klubnik's going to take that job sooner rather than later. I know DJ is working through some things with his throwing motion. I want to be fair to him, but sometimes you just know he's not that guy. And Cade Klubnik has some juice with him, and he's coming off, very confident, being number one quarterback, all that in his class, Elite 11, all these state championships. I think that's somebody who's trying to start right away at Clemson. It's going to be interesting. Some things to pay attention to for those of you who are watching other people's spring games or just showing some things.
Yeah, but also you gotta also think that starting a true freshman, you're gonna deal with your bumps and bruises. This isn't the same Clemson team that started Trevor Lawrence as a true freshman. So
with all of that, yeah, no, I'm with you.
If they do that, I can anticipate probably 3 losses in the conference.
Nick V said Kentucky looked really good. I like some of the guys they even have in the draft right now because I'm doing a lot of the NFL draft stuff, and there's some Kentucky guys in there that are intriguing.
No, yeah, the draft's right. Drafts are around the corner.
Hey, Rob H, they said the win was an issue though. They said Jimbo said the win was causing some problems with the quarterback. Oh man,
that is not a good excuse.
That's what he said. Another A&M comment talking about Evan Stewart. We'll see. They did try to feature him a lot in their game.
Oh yeah, they tried to force feed him. That's the only highlights that I saw. was him getting tackled by a third string defensive back.
Yeah. No, I agree, Ken. It doesn't tell you a whole lot. But every now and again, it doesn't tell you a whole lot, but every now and again, there's things in the past personally that I've just seen, and I'm like, things that make you go, if you know what I mean. Things that make you go, or you ask a question to somebody and you're like, are we sure that guy's not better than that guy? And it turns out I saw this negatively with LSU. And I tried to warn Billy about this when I was watching their stuff. And I'm like, I know it's a spring game, but there's some concerns. So
who did Brandon think is going to start at quarterback? Did you say is Max? Thinks it's going to be Max?
Has Brandon picked a horse between Max and Haynes King?
I don't know. I'd have to go back through our chat, and I really don't want to do that.
I don't think. I think Brandon's being very
coy about it, being very brandish about it.
Yeah, I don't think he's picked a horse over there. Now y'all trolling. Now y'all trying to give Jonte good food. I love this time of year. I love this time of year. We had a guy, one of the great. We had a really good Twitter space last night. It was more impromptu, and we had some Alabama people come in there, and I think one of the guys runs Alabama spaces on a regular basis, and he was trying to fight for some reason, even though nobody was really talking trash. And he was trying to say that we were weak minded for not being bold about saying Texas is going to beat Bama, and that's why we're a crappy program and all this type of stuff, and we're a crappy fan base. And I'm like, well, wait a second.
Or realistic.
Yeah, the moment we start talking trash, like it's like some dude just wanted to fight. It was hilarious. But this is the time of the off season, because now that message board energy is starting to really come out in Twitter Spaces, especially this time of the year, where everybody's drinking their Kool-Aid or talking themselves into why their relationship is healthy, or talking themselves into why things are going to work out just fine. Everybody's doing it. So it's always really, really interesting. I want to get good question, Victor. We got to get Nino. We got to do another roundtable, for sure, with everybody on. There's going to be a lot to cover. It's not really an off-season college football, so we'll definitely get on. We'll definitely get on that. Yeah, a lot of message board energy right there right now. Spring game doesn't. Yeah, nobody doesn't show anybody much.
Who's under more pressure, Sark or Riley?
This year, Sark.
Sark.
This year,
yeah.
This year it's Sark. When you get the manner in which we got Quinn Ewers, like, quite frankly, Texas has been as active as anybody in the country in the portal. Probably going to get O'Shawn Mathis, God willing. There's pressure on Sark. Lincoln's going to be in year one at SC, and honestly, and I'm not trying to show any disrespect to SC or anything like that. They're trying to build back up the interest in the program right now. That's a sleeping giant of a fan base. Like, I was alive when SC was popping off, and so were you, Trent, and we were younger. But right now, I mean, you look at just their there's a how do you say it? There's a sense of apathy that I feel like sets in over there that doesn't ever set in at Texas. We'll be miserable, but we're still talking about it. You know what I mean? We'll still come and complain. We'll still bitch. I feel like some of these folks at SC just completely tapped out.
Yeah, and it also, ever since they got back professional football in their area as well too, it's probably taken a backseat. There's a huge difference between Texas having to compete with Houston Texans and the Dallas Cowboys than it is for USC to compete with the Rams, the Los Angeles Rams, or the Los Angeles Chargers. It's a little bit different. There's so much more football in that specific area that it's easy for people to be like, oh well, we suck. We got the Rams. So it's a lot easier for people to do that.
Good point. Yeah, we don't. That fan base is a sleeping giant.
Oh, but if they win 9 games this year, it's off.
They're all the way back.
It's off. Yeah, it's off.
Yeah. But I mean, you can't ignore, and that's the one thing that OU people have really been kind of hammering is, we don't go away. We don't go to sleep, right? Like, this is what we live. Like, why would you leave us from that standpoint? Because this is all we care about is this, right? And clearly they don't feel that way over there. So, That's something else we can touch on later. Um, no, no, we'll be okay. I think we're gonna wrap up here. Thank you to BUSR, official sponsor, official sportsbook, official betting partner of Fanatic Perspective. NBA playoffs are in full force. You want to get your bets in, prop bets. There's been some really good ones recently that people are kind of giving out and advice. You can actually follow trends on there. And it's a reliable sports book, reliable
It
betting
is.
partner. BOSR.com/fanatic. Great customer service. Hit up my site. Support us if you want to put some stuff in. You want to bet on Texas, next. I don't know if we have win loss on there yet, but I know Heisman stuff and some of the things like that you can bet on. So check it out. Appreciate you guys. I'm gonna try to get something on tomorrow, maybe a short live, but just again more so tailored to the spring game. But always love talking Texas football with you guys, and especially one of my best friends in the world here, Mr. John Tran. Appreciate you, brother.
I appreciate you, man. I can't wait to see you.
Me too. It's only a few more days,
I
so
know.
I'll be down there.
It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a fun time.
Amen, brother. Well, guys, remember horns.